Good morning, everyone. Hope you already woke up. Uh, my name is Oleg. I'm Chief Risk Officer at Payable. I manage risks, and this also includes fraud prevention. Uh, online um, payments will reach 11 trillion US dollars in 2024, but at the same time, fraud will also reach high number. It's 41 billion US dollars in 2024. This is projected. So businesses should balance between conversion rates, frictionless, but at the same time keep eye on fraud prevention. Today we have very nice, interesting speakers from different industries such as automotive, online gaming, ride-hailing, card scheme. So it will be for sure interesting panel, and let's hear their stories how they fight fraud. Uh, so let's start from introductions. Please tell your name, your role, your company.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Elena. I'm working at Wargaming for the last 13 years. For the last 5 years, I'm leading the acquiring and fraud team within the payments department. Wargaming, you know Wargaming, I guess. It's a video game company based in Cyprus. And yeah, Alex?
Hello, everybody. I'm Felix. I work at Bolt. I'm a fraud analyst, and I'm leading the fraud department for the micromobility and car sharing. So every time that you guys book a scooter or a car, um, it's me, the one that is in charge of having, responsible for you to have a good experience.
Hey guys, my name is Andre. I'm the head of payments, risk and fraud at Volkswagen Group Charging. We are in charge of everything which is e-mobility across the volume brands plus Audi, our own brand, in Europe. We are at the moment the biggest charging network provider. We cover 650K charging stations across Europe where we offer to our customer charge their electric vehicles. Besides this, we also investigating in hardware for EV charging at home, B2B stuff, photovoltaic, solar industry, energy trading, and so on.
Well, hi again. I'm Michael, the country manager for Visa in Cyprus.
As you represent totally different industries, could you please tell what are the biggest trend in fraud that you are seeing nowadays? Maybe start from Elena.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fraud trends in gaming. Well, the reality is that gaming industry is not much of difference when it turns to fraud trends, and I mean the currently evolving fraud trends, right? So whatever is popular in e-commerce B2C fraud, you will definitely find it in gaming, and well, basically gaming will be number one to pioneer it. Because it's a very popular industry no matter what. So fraud will always exist in gaming. For example, based on the service 2024, first-party misuse, or let's call it friendly fraud type, is on its rise. This is what it says. And well, it reached all the records, and same goes to payments fraud. Refund or promo abuse, ATO. And okay, yes, this is all true. We also see it in gaming, of course, but we also saw it before. For example, during COVID times, it was always the case. So this was times for gaming companies passing its golden times of traffic increase, right? But it was also related to fraud, right? What has changed actually is the possibility to share information and the amount of information that we have currently about fraud types, about the best practices. So it's nothing to compare with 5 to 10 years ago. And of course, there are some specifics, yes, of course, in gaming, which I will name few. which I was observing during my work experience at Wargaming. So fraud trend number one, and it relates to payments fraud. Okay, so financial benefit may not always be the final goal of the fraudsters. And think about it, when we are talking about the money as a final goal, it's very clear, right? It's understandable what's the goal, so you can quite easy to identify it, investigate it, and basically prevent, much easier. But when it's not about the money, then what? What are the options? And this is the peculiarity of gaming, I would say, that there are multiple options apart from money, apart from financial benefits. And I can name you a few based on, again, few cases that we had at Wargaming. Number one, in-game achievements can be basically the final and primarily goal of the fraudster. And this one is really, really hard to fight with, because basically you're fighting with your legitimate customers. Your hardcore players can be fraudsters. Yeah, so I will tell you one example. This is a very quick example. We had a guy who was our hardcore player. He had a very good experience in gaming, and he started hacking accounts on North American server, just randomly, without using any software manually, but still disturbing our customers. So basically we found him, we blocked him, but then obviously what he did, he created other accounts, he started using proxy and so on. But it doesn't matter, because what he did, he contacted our customer support, and he basically said, I will not stop doing it unless you give me a press account. A press account means that this account has all the latest items, assets, latest features that nobody has. So the guy just wanted to play, imagine. That was his primary goal. And I'm not even sure that he was older than 15 years old, to be frank. The second one is, and it's quite questionable, but we have this theory that revenge or principled position on political economical situation in the world can be also primarily goal of the fraudster. And this one is really tricky, because there is no tangible benefit behind, right? You do not understand what he wants, what the fraudster wants. And we had such case recently. Basically, the guy was using software, automated software, to hack thousands of accounts on a weekly basis. Imagine. So it was crazy, actually. Yeah, and okay, so the second trend, I'll be quick, right? I know that there are a lot of people here. The second trend is related to friendly fraud, and it relates to knowledge. So this is what I've noticed, that okay, along with the evolving knowledge of industry experts, fraud prevention experts, our customers are also becoming more and more educative. They are learning a lot, especially after COVID times. They read everything in small letters, what is written, you know, and they know how to apply for chargeback without losing the dispute afterwards. Which is, you know, fair enough to say it may be applied to other industries, yes, but at the same time, specific of gaming is that it has a very big impact onto our final results of the disputing process. We are losing. Well, basically it has impacts the financial losses of the company in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes fraudsters can do fraud just for fun.
Exactly.
Do you see the same, Felix, with scooters, with car hires?
Yes. For scooters, I have seen the trend of a lot of teenagers doing them just because it's fun for them. It's something that at the beginning I was not able to have the idea around it, because they were not trying to actually defraud. Like they had time. So they spend the time just trying to hack our system, in a way hacking, just for them to get a free ride that was 5 euros. So they will spend 2 hours mocking locations, whatever they needed to do, just to just to get that free ride, because obviously they had all the time in the world. But the other trend and very hot topic right now is AI. So in car sharing, for anyone who is not familiar with car sharing, Bolt allows you to rent a car in some of the countries where you can see a car and just open the app, upload your driver license, and off you go. You can just get a car and go to your destination. One of the trends that I have seen, and thankfully we have stopped, is fraudsters were able to create totally a digital ID using AI. For example, let's say that you see my face, but I will pretend that I'm from Norway and I have a valid Norwegian driver license. Just by asking AI, put my face into a Norwegian driver license, and they were able to start renting the car. And sadly, the people who were renting those cars with those fake IDs, they were not good. So we had some accidents, we had some stolen cars, and thankfully we were able to stop. But it's a constantly cat and mouse kind of game, trying to chase over the latest AI-generated images.
Andrea, can you share some trends from your industry? I think it's also connected, also car industry, so but from different perspective.
So we see two different kinds of fraud in our environment. Close to 100% fraud going to charging sessions, which means we have offline and online fraud. What's the difference between that? Offline fraud is if you have an RFID card after you open an account, you can go to offline charging stations which are not connected directly digital to our systems, and you can charge your car. So after that, we receive the information from the CPO that he needs money from us, and we can't capture this from our customer because it's offline fraud. The other way around is that we have tons of fraudsters at the moment in our system, not in the system originally, more in the onboarding process. So they're coming onboarding mostly over our own app, the Ali app. Because why did you Ali? When you choose a brand app, an Audi or Volkswagen Skoda, then you download the app based on the car. So the fraud there is very limited. In the Ali app, you don't own a car, or you own a car and it doesn't count which brand it is. You onboard very fast and then you charge directly, because you're going to a charging station, identified over the app, can charge a car. After that, we identified you as a fraudster because of our systems, but you're always stealing us one charging sessions. And the onboarding process at the moment need at least 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So it's not so hard to onboard and charge a car once, and we're losing always one charging session. That's the most critical point in our environment, where we identified now different processes, how we can fight them.
Interesting. Michael, as Visa is a top global player, what global fraud trends do you see?
Well, fraud is definitely a very important element of our daily lives. I prefer just to share some figures of what happens with fraud. These are actually the European latest figures that we have seen and we have gathered. And I will just concentrate in 5 aspects. The first one is the impact of fraud. And we have seen that 92%, actually it's 91.6% of cardholders show definitely a negative experience and negative behavior post a fraud event. So anyone that has a fraudulent activity in their account has 92% chance of being not active in payments. We have also seen an attrition of almost 7% following a fraud event. So card attrition, 7% is huge. Transaction impact, we have seen that almost 45% reduction of transaction activity following a cardholder fraud activity. And the cost of this fraud just in Europe, it goes up to almost, in a year, almost 34 billion US dollars. And the surprising element is that this is actually the estimated impact from the consumer drop in spending, which we have estimated that this drop is around 663 US dollars per month. So just considering the impact side of the fraud before moving to how we combat fraud. And I will remain for the rest.
Yeah, it's important to also address this question, what technologies might help to prevent fraud. Can you please share some insights, some trends, what technologies you use in order to combat fraud?
Yeah, shall we start
Want to start?
again?
Yeah, maybe.
Here at Wargaming, of course, we are always monitoring the latest technologies which are applied and can be applied to payments optimization, to fraud prevention. But it's not necessarily means that we're gonna use them right away. Like, for example, machine learning, which was introduced and offered since long time ago, actually, as a tool for fraud prevention. Okay, it's kind of black box, right? We don't like it. I mean, the concept of black box, we can't explain it. So we were looking at it, testing it here, there, but not really using it actively in our anti-fraud strategy. But what has changed recently, actually, that the providers started offering so-called hybrid version. This is a really cool thing because it contains both components, let's say rule sets, custom rule sets, plus machine learning component, which you can use in combination. And this is a perfect scenario, basically. We've tested it the whole last year. And basically, we successfully implemented it this year, and it's working in full. We are really happy with the results and gonna proceed using it moving forward and improving as much as possible. Yeah.
I think machine learning has supported us a lot in fraud prevention, but I definitely see something in AI is coming up for the risk and fraud prevention, which is both a blessing and a curse. So on the one hand, it will support us to fight the fraudsters, but on the other hand, fraudsters will also use AI, as Felix has mentioned, with the AI on the IDs and something like that. And that in that case, sometimes we have to catch the wave in front of the fraudsters. On the other hand, if you see it in a position like us, we don't have to be faster than the line. I only have to be faster than my competitor. Yeah. So if I can fight, against the fraudsters and they're moving to Mercedes or BMW, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, the same we see as a payment provider when we are talking about merchant fraud. So when merchant is a fraudster, not like consumer is a fraudster, but higher level, when merchant is a fraudster, they try to knock all doors in order to get means to process transactions. So yeah, as you mentioned, if I decline this fraud, it goes somewhere else.
I think another way to fight fraudsters, and sorry that I have to say this in front of Visa, could be in future account-to-account payment, right? From a merchant perspective, if we slow down our fees, sorry again. On the other hand, a direct payment account to account will help us to identify our drivers and chargers. And in that case, I'm pretty sure we can reduce the certain matter of fraud. Account-to-account payment has, on the other hand, compare also with open banking, some other situations. When you see our business, we are variable recurring payments, and that's not possible in account-to-account payment. If that is possible, then I think we can reduce our fraud rates tremendously in combination with AI and risk fraud prevention.
What Felix mentioned that fraudsters are using AI. What Visa can offer to merchants, what AI tools to combat this AI fraud?
Well, we do a lot to tackle fraud because given the stats that I have shared before, we take fraud very seriously. It's the main item in terms of how we develop our systems and technology. Just to make a few references in terms of investments that we have placed towards cybersecurity capabilities were more than $10 billion in the last 3 years. That signifies a lot. We do have a 4.9 ranking at Gartner Security Rating, and we do score more than 41 billion transactions a day in terms of scoring. We do have a lot of systems to combat fraud, and we could share a lot of experiences with our partners, with our payment institutions that are connected through us, and this could happen through various sources, because we do cover fraud in terms of cards, we cover fraud in terms of account-to-account payments, because I need to stress that out. Real-time payments means real-time fraud. We have seen that coming a lot, and we have been asked by all authorities to join in and support into that aspect, because real-time fraud is huge, and we are actually evidencing this in our everyday lives with the news each day. So it's not just cards, it's also account-to-account payments, it's also crypto blockchain, and all those together, all those three verticals do cover the whole future. So we are covering those either through Visa Secure Systems, VAA, Visa Account Authorization, Advanced Authorization, VRM, Visa Risk Manager, the Decision Manager, the VCAS, which is the 3D Secure service that we do provide to the issuers and the acquirers, the risk operational unit that we provide full risk as a service to all participants, and moving on in terms to account to provide the latest technology in terms of tokenization in the accounts, which is named as payment account tokenization, or our support unit, which is the RTP Prevent, real-time payments prevent. All tools using full AI sources, and all technology is gearing up and is updated in seconds on the basis of the trends that we are seeing globally. And by referencing that, we do have a pure global visibility by far and by most of the participants in the payment industry in the world.
As we have different roles in payment process, so we are a payment provider, merchant side, we have also card scheme here. How important is collaboration between different players in the process, also between different industries, collaboration also with government authorities? Can you please share maybe, Elena, how cross-industry collaboration has shifted fraud to different areas?
Yeah, okay, I can, okay, in terms of collaboration between the between the e-commerce participants, let's say like this, of course it's obvious that it's very important. But okay, very good examples is GDPR from 2018 or SCA PSD2 2019, which was implemented 2021. But in any case, this is all obvious. What I wanted to say, okay, probably guys will elaborate on it a bit, but what I wanted to say is a bit of specifics of gaming. And in terms of collaboration within the fraud fighters community, let's call it like this. So in contrast with the, in opposite with the fraudsters, which are really willing to share information, you will find all the details how to hack some merchant on YouTube, on different forums. So they are really caring about their community. So in opposite to this, sometimes within the anti-fraud, like fraud fighters community, it feels as if you are on a competitive battlefield, really. Yes, indeed, everyone is sharing the best practices, the recent trends and so on, some generic information, but there is always a secret ingredient behind which is hidden in the pocket and which is a no-go to share. So every time there is something that is not being said. So this is just for you to understand that it's not, I mean, collaboration is essential to fight fraud. But I think that this is coming because of the so-called, I call it golden rule of all fraud fighters, which everyone knows about it, that you can't get rid of fraud. You can just shift it to somebody else. So that's the core problem, I would say.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of disagree with two of my co-hosts here because I don't believe that we have to shift it to somebody else. Because I have, in my experience, I have worked with my competitors. I have given the flag, hey guys, there is a problem in our market with, let's say, Singaporean cards. Maybe you have the same. And later on, they have thanked me, and they can say, like, a few months later, they have said, we have this issue. Do you have it as well? Because I believe that we're here to fight fraudsters, and we can compete in other areas, but at the heart of everything, we are trying to prevent random people's money to be stolen, because that's my job, to have your card secure in our system. And I want to mention that one of the new allies that we have got involved is one of the oldest allies from this kind of stuff, and it's actually the police. We have seen a spike of in the police investigations the moment that the police create a department for chargebacks and stolen cards, because that's when they create their own KPIs, and they obviously, if you have a KPI, you need to reach those KPIs, and so with our investigation and in collaboration with some of the police in some countries, we have actually managed to put those fraudsters, which are nothing but thieves, they're criminals, and we have managed to put them in jail, in cooperation with the police, of course. But that's why I believe that the more that we cooperate, even within the industry, is the more that we can gain, and instead of shifting the fraudsters here and there, just let's get rid of them.
I think, from my point of view, it's very clear we have to work together on a merchant side, on a scheme side, on a payment side. All the hands are together, and then we can fight them. What we do, for example, is when we identified some fraudsters on PayPal, we hand them over to PayPal to let them know, give them all the information we identified. We give them to our PSPs if we identified some fraud bins or some fraudsters via credit card, we are in contact with the schemes and hand it over to them and something like that. And a fraudster who is cheating on my platform is also cheating on Wargaming or Bolt. Possibly, definitely. So we have to find a way how we can deal together, and one way to deal together is work with the right prevention providers or something like that, that they can identify the cross-channel fraudsters, you know?
Well, I would agree with Felix 100% because compacting fraud is not one single job. It needs to be collaboration. It's we collaborate, we collaborate, we collaborate. I could share a real example, a recent one, where it was 25th of March, I received a call that there was well, it was from a Cyprus entity, noting that they had an amazing fraud coming out of Brazil. It was maybe 9 in the evening, and the relevant acquirer in that region was not responding. So they eventually found out that maybe I should give a call. So as part of this collaboration, we brought out several people from the States. One of those was actually heading to a wedding. Returned back to the office, engaged with all the regional players in the States, engaging with the Brazil agents and the Brazil acquirers, and it was a huge enumeration attack coming from a well-known merchant. That activity was terminated in less than 32 minutes. And it was a global collaboration activity. So what I would like to strengthen is the comments coming from Felix. It's all about collaboration. If we collaborate, if you collaborate as merchants, and sometimes Wargaming as well collaborates with Visa directly for that, we are in the same space. And the important thing is not just to move fraudsters from one merchant to the next, or from one acquirer to the other, or the next payment service provider, but to block them and extinguish all the fraudulent activity that comes with a huge distrust in the payment system industry.
Okay, I see we have some nice questions on Slido. Maybe let's
A lot of questions.
let's move to
popping
them.
up there.
Let's start from the top one. All these frauds that you had during the years created you significant losses. If yes,
How many you want to mention? How many you want me to mention? Well, later on I will be speaking about one of them, but losses, we had, I think the biggest that we had, it was around 200,000 that we lost in like 3 days. That's the biggest, but that was like few years ago. So that represented extremely high percentage of our GMV back then. And I don't know, every week we have a new one. But we have created now a machine learning model very similar to what Helena has implemented. We have created machine learning models, but in combination with manual checks. So instead of having somebody manually checking everything, we leave that one to machine learning, and after the machine learning flags something totally unusual, this is where my team comes in to manually check if it's worth checking or not.
I can comment on this as well. Well, basically, yes, of course, it has a significant, fraud has always significant impact on financials, but it's nothing to compare actually. Okay, I'm gonna talk about gaming. It's nothing to compare with the earnings, right? I mean, fraud always exists in gaming, and not only in gaming, and this is the essential concept that everyone needs to understand. We live with fraud. Wherever is payments, wherever is entertainment, wherever is e-commerce, in general, there is fraud. It will always exist. So once you understand your tolerance, risk tolerance level, right? This is what each company needs to define actually from the very beginning. Once you understand it, your goal is to keep it on this level, and that's it. And no panic if something is happening. And of course, we have lots of controls. We are investigating what to do better when we have spikes or some specific fraud type appearing. We regroup. We usually put all our efforts to stop it, and afterwards to put preventive measures not to happen it again. And these are, of course, our partners, payment providers, solutions, tools that they give us. These are our internal mechanisms which we implement based on our knowledge and expertise. These are knowledge sharing, again, collaboration. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's also important not to address losses, but also consequences, because merchants should be within thresholds defined by card schemes. Also, there are some certain thresholds defined by PSD2. So it's also important to stay below those thresholds. Otherwise, there will be not only losses because of fraud, but also some other sanctions, and it will be more tough to accept payments.
I think also in our situation, it brings us to this point to redesign our onboarding process completely to attack them. And also the question who's responsible for fraud. So everyone is blaming the others. So I don't see this so as you mentioned, we have to work together. Nobody's blaming the others. So if we identify the fraudsters, we let them know. We let our partners know. So the blame is on our side because he can produce the fraud on our side. So in that case, we have a sentence in Germany: the fish starts to think on the head, and we are the fish in that case.
Well, responding to that question, which is very precise, I would say that tokenization is the answer. We have seen that. We have seen the trends. We have made our calculations. And as I've said, tokenization has taken an enormous part of the business. And I would say that just in less than 12 months, actually it was last October 2023, where we have seen that tokenization was more than 40% of all the e-commerce transactions. And that's why we have moved ahead in accelerating the introduction of click-to-pay. So click-to-pay based on tokenization on the e-commerce will provide smooth experiences, seamless experience, but at the same time, full control and full biometrics in terms of consumer protection. So the simple answer to what is there to reduce fraud, I would say it's a simple word, is tokenization. From our end as Visa, we say it's VTS, Visa Token Service. We have seen that happening. We have utilized that in our day-to-day payouts with our mobile wallets. We have seen it. It's zero fraud rate. And I'm absolutely 100% clear on that. Tokenization provides absolute proof on our physical and e-com payments.
But Michael, that's for the schemes. We also, beside to the schemes, we have some other payments there. We have to also find the right solution. So if there would be a tokenization, that would be great.
Well, but I've said, because we have seen the gap in the space of real-time payments, and even in that space, which is beyond the card payment schemes or the card payment rails, we have moved ahead in terms of offering secure rails like Visa Direct, which is real-time payouts, real-time money movements globally, full currency controls and full treasury management globally, covering both cards, accounts, and even wallets. with 8.5 billion endpoints. Adding to that, we came in to support you guys in terms of account-to-account payments with payment account tokenization. So we have introduced tokenization technology to actual payment accounts. We have prevented fraud in the payment accounts by adding real-time prevent system. So we are doing a lot, and we are supporting the rails beyond card verticals. So going back to the previous or the latest question about collaboration, it's always about collaboration. That's why we are not saying that Visa is only concentrating on card rails. No, we try to cover everything, and we try to provide support, knowledge, know-how, and our technologies into every aspect of payment in our lives.
Do we have time for one more?
No.
No? Okay, sorry. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everybody.